Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about MCP and Konnect. And one of the points I want to bring up here is that MCP is a very new and interesting protocol for us to connect different endpoints for, in our case, Konnect our Admin API with different users in a natural language construct. So one of the things to concern ourselves with MCP is that you don't always know that MCP is secure and protected the way you want it to be when you're dealing with especially production data. And so what I'm going to show you today a little bit is how we take MCP and protect that through Kong and the capable plugins that we have in the platform today. So in terms of infrastructure for artificial intelligence, there are a lot of ways that you can use APIs today to connect agents to different systems internally as well as to language models. And those all need to be protected because you don't want to have to worry about oversubscription. You don't want to have to worry about runaway agents. And you don't want to have to worry about MCP being used incorrectly in different places. So one of the things we concern ourselves with is understanding from a general API-based platform, I can control both AI-based connections, the API, and standard API connections. With MCP, a lot of what I'm going to show you today is our protection of standard API calls, but in an MCP construct. So when we look at what you want to do from a corporate perspective in MCP environments, is how do I govern, secure, and observe those MCP endpoints? And so when we can show that observability, that brings a lot more comfort, especially to your security teams and to the different platforms or people that are using those endpoints to make sure that nothing goes crazy or haywire with a specific agent that may or may not do something that goes rogue on you with, because you don't want that to happen. And so one of the things we can show today is the governance of an MCP gateway. I'll show that to you here in a moment with the demonstration. The AI gateway covers a lot of this. The standard API gateway also covers some of these things. The thing to remember when you look at AI gateways is that almost all API calls or all AI calls are based on API endpoints. And so you want to have a platform that you can utilize all of the API policies and plugins that are available on both an AI-based call or a standard API-based call, especially when it comes to MCP, because MCP does both. And a little teaser for you as well is that when we look into the coming weeks and months here in Q3 of 2025, our goal here at Kong is to turn every or any API into an MCP server. So when you look at what you have inside of a developer portal or inside of an API that you manage in a Kong product, chances are pretty good that in the space of a couple of months, you'll be able to turn any of those endpoints into an MCP server. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Now let's get into the specific demo. So the point of what I want to show here first is a little bit about Konnect in the background. So I'm going to go back and review at a high level here what's taking place in Konnect. This is our Konnect platform. And our Konnect platform is a federated way to manage a whole lot of lightweight distributed API gateways. So in this case, I'm going to look at one specific gateway that we have a MCP server tied to. So I'm going to go back and look at the idea of, I'm going to go back and look at services. So the services are what we use in Kong to connect to specific resources that you want to provide to end users. So in this space, I'm going to look for my MCP Konnect service. This service right here has routes that are tied to it, and those routes are what connect an end user to the specific upstream service. And so my route right here shows my MCP Konnect function. And this is where my end users are going to connect to my MCP server. And I'll show this to you here in our chatbot. But the interesting piece here is I have a plugin, and that plugin is our standard OpenID Konnect plugin. It's nothing AI-based. It's something that we have used for a very long time, and it's a very stable and performant product inside of our plugin portfolio. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to quickly go and do an incognito window and log into this Kong chatbot. And right away, you can see that my OIDC plugin is kicking in. And so this OIDC plugin says, wait a minute, before you ever go and talk to this chatbot, I'm going to make you register with Okta. And so in this case, I will log in here. Put this in here. And standard form for what we do here at Kong, I need to put in my authentication number. So let me do that real quick. And here you see I now have been given access into our Kong AI chatbot. This is what the SE team here uses on a regular basis to present our AI capabilities into the tool. And you see right here we have a Kong or Kong Konnect MCP function. Now, before I get into this, I want to show you a couple of things. And I'm going to take you back here into our specific Konnect environment. So when we have now logged into the MCP server, one of the challenges we then understand is I have access to an MCP server, but now that MCP server has access to a whole lot of different endpoints that we set up. And so those endpoints we have to manage as well. And so what I'm going to show you here quickly is the Konnect Admin API. And the interesting piece for this service is I'm now going to be abstracting away all of the Konnect Admin API capabilities that we support in the tool or in our MCP server with a protective layer in it, right? So all of these specific endpoints that we have, our Konnect Admin API covers the entirety of our product. And in this case, we've chosen a handful of different endpoints that we can use to control. That now gives us observability into the specific tool set. So these now routes all of the MCP requests. Instead of MCP requests going straight to an API endpoint, those MCP requests all route through Kong. And here are a couple of good reasons why that may be something you want to do. First and foremost, observability. And I'll show you here where we can see what requests are being made at any given time. But also importantly, I can do rate limiting controls against these. I can do protections on the route to make sure that no post ever happens. If I don't ever want to have anything right, I can limit any of these requests only to get kind of requests in the platform so that I can guarantee that nothing ever happens where I've got some rogue agent that's making some call, that's making manipulated changes to my database, because all I ever allow it is a read access only through this platform. So let me show you a couple of ways here that I can view all of these things in my analytics space. So at a high level here, I'm going to go into my analytics space and see an AI gateway dashboard. In the last 15 minutes here, you can see I don't have any specific data. Just to show that it works, I'm going to take it back here and show the last 30 days of data. And I have a lot of information that's available here to show what's used from different model perspectives, different providers, who's using what from a token usage perspective or a cost perspective. But if I scroll down here, I also have MCP usage data. And this tells me what endpoints are actually being used versus not. So I'm going to take this back here to 15 minutes. And I'm going to go back into this chatbot again. So here I have a response for Konnect MCP. What is the ID of the AI gateway demo control plane? So this request now came back to me showing here's the ID and this control plane number is here. The interesting piece now is if I go back and refresh this page, I can see now that I have a request that's come in. 2 requests have been made, which is interesting because I only made 1, but it shows that this tool call information has been happening in the background. And so now I have data back here, especially that says I've used 1 specific control plane point. So this is my control plane list, and that's all I need. So I'm going to ask one more question here relative to like routes and services on a specific endpoint. Show me what routes are on the SE Jason Mattis control plane. And again, as we wait for this to process, we'll see even more information inside of Grafana, where my prompt token count is increasing, my model usage counts are increasing. And this is all based on the fact that I'm asking these requests. And all of this data is now coming back as information from my specific SE Jason Mattis control plane. And you'll see the data inside of here as well increase to show that I've had additional requests for both routes and services. So in this case, at a high level, what we're essentially showing is that when I make any conversations happen to an MCP server, one of the things you want to be able to do is to track a protection of entering into any specific app that gives you access to MCP. And 2, and probably most importantly as well, making sure that MCP is both observed and secured in what it can do when accessing your data sets. So remember, we've taken this MCP server, we've protected it with access. We've protected it also with observability inside of the tool. And we've also limited these requests to only ever be GET requests. So there's only read functionality here as well. That can be done in many different respects, but from a centralized gateway standpoint, and what we do on a day in, day out basis here at Kong is make sure that these APIs are protected. So all this has been done from the APIs that are housed inside of your MCP server. So hopefully this has been a worthwhile presentation for you. I'm excited to be able to show you more of these things as they become more available in our subsequent releases of the Kong platform. And I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks.